mayoral candidate will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is
a mayor caught on camera in a brawl with citizens at a local restaurant, including the man who filed a petition to recall her as the mayor.
Rachel Ruelas arrested, corruption charges, and how does her scandal compare to the whirlwind controversies surrounding Tiffany Henyard? Buckle up, because this story is packed with drama, legal battles, and jaw-dropping twists that will leave you questioning everything about these two embattled leaders.
Last year, Mabton City Council failed to pass a budget by the end of the year, and they spent 11 months of the year spending money without a plan.
Let's dive straight into the heart of the chaos. Rachel Ruelas, the mayor of Mabton, Washington, has been the center of non-stop controversy for months. From multiple recall petitions to accusations of mismanagement, budget violations, and even a physical altercation with a resident, it seems like her days in office have been anything but smooth. But here's where things get even more interesting. Rumors are swirling that Ruelas might be facing legal trouble and even potential arrest related to corruption. Although there's no confirmation of an arrest yet, the allegations against her paint a picture of a leader struggling to maintain control in a town of just under 2,000 people. The drama began when 4 Mabton City Council members filed a petition to recall Ruelas, citing numerous allegations, among them failing to provide a budget for 2024, which left the city without legal authority to spend money, and using the city's official website to promote her personal business, Forever Bridal and Decorating. According to Yakima County Superior Court Judge Richard Barteld, some of these charges were deemed legally sufficient to move forward in the recall process. For example, the court found that Ruelas' failure to submit a budget for council review could potentially bring criminal penalties. Oh, and let's not forget that she allegedly raised her own pay from $700 to $1,700 per month, despite the city's financial disarray. By the way, talk about bold moves.
I do want to thank Councilwoman Diana for showing up, Councilwoman Vera showing up, our attorney, and our chief of police.
But wait, there's more. The situation took a violent turn when Ruelas and her family were involved in a physical altercation with Mabton resident Ruben Olivares, who just so happens to have filed a separate recall petition against. The fight reportedly broke out at a local restaurant, My Casa, after a heated exchange between Ruelas' son and Olivares. Witnesses claim the scuffle spilled outside, where Ruelas' husband allegedly approached Olivares with a crowbar before Ruelas intervened. Both parties filed protection orders against each other, and Olivares has stated his intention to press charges against Ruelas and her family. Seriously, it sounds like something out of a soap opera.
My grandparents were assaulted, and I believe that the cops should have came onto duty and taken the report first.
Meanwhile, as these scandals unfold, Mabton residents are growing increasingly frustrated with their mayor. The town has long suffered from issues like poor water quality and financial problems, and many believe Ruelas' leadership has only made things worse. During public meetings, residents have openly called for her resignation, accusing her of putting personal interests above the community's needs. Ruelas, for her part, has denied any wrongdoing and insists that the real problem lies within the city council. "It's not about me," she said. "We need to come together for the community." But it's hard to ignore the growing list of allegations against her.
Well, the crisis in Mabton has reached a breaking point last week as residents expressed frustration over poor leadership, an empty police department, and an unresolved 2025 budget.
Now let's shift gears and talk about Tiffany Henyard, the controversial mayor of Dolton, Illinois, and Thornton Township supervisor. Like Ruelas, Henyard has faced her fair share of scandals, and the parallels between the two are almost uncanny. Henyard's tenure has been marked by allegations of financial mismanagement, lawsuits, and public outcry. She's been under federal investigation for months, with accusations ranging from embezzlement to lavish spending on taxpayer-funded trips. And just like Ruelas, Henyard has managed to hold on to power despite mounting opposition. While the scandals around Henyard often appear larger in scale, the underlying issues reveal a pattern of strained leadership that mirrors Ruelas' situation. For instance, Henyard's handling of Thornton Township's insurance renewal debacle has left residents without access to critical services, including senior transportation and food assistance programs. Critics argue that her inability to secure these basic necessities highlights a lack of preparedness and prioritization, much like Ruelas' failure to submit a city budget on time. These oversights have led to growing disillusionment among the public, with many questioning whether either leader is equipped to handle the responsibilities of their roles.
Lights are off behind me, the doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed. For how long, neither residents nor employees know at this point.
Adding to the chaos, Henyard's political maneuvers have alienated even her closest allies. In one particularly shocking move, she attempted to appoint a tie-breaking trustee to the Thornton Township Board, a decision that sparked outrage among other trustees. They accused her of trying to consolidate power in a desperate attempt to push through her agenda. This echoes Ruelas' tensions with the Mabton City Council, where council members have repeatedly accused her of unilateral decision-making and failing to collaborate. In both cases, these disputes disputes have created gridlock, leaving critical issues unresolved and communities stuck in limbo. Furthermore, Henyard's claims of being the target of threats have raised eyebrows. While she insists that credible threats forced her to cancel meetings and limit access, critics argue that these claims lack transparency and are used as a smokescreen to avoid public accountability. Similarly, Ruelas has been accused of dodging public scrutiny by dismissing concerns raised by council members and residents. In both instances, the lack of clear communication has fueled speculation and mistrust, further eroding the public's confidence in their leadership.
Our job is to govern, to provide a way, provide services, and we're not doing that because they're stalling government, gridlocking it, because they can't have their way.
What's even more fascinating is how both mayors have continued to present themselves as champions of their communities despite mounting opposition. Ruelas has repeatedly emphasized her commitment to improving Mabton's water quality and infrastructure, while Henyard has championed her township's food assistance programs and other initiatives. Yet, their critics argued that these efforts are overshadowed by their controversies. For every step forward, it seems, both leaders take 2 steps back, leaving their communities to bear the brunt of the fallout. One of Henyard's most infamous moments came during a Democratic caucus for Thornton Township Supervisor, where she was booted from the ballot in a dramatic voice vote. Henyard claimed the process was rigged, accusing her political rivals of locking her supporters out of the venue while allowing their own allies to participate. The chaos didn't end there. Henyard filed lawsuits against the caucus organizers, calling the vote illegal and demanding a do-over. But critics argue that Henyard's claims are nothing more than a distraction from her own questionable actions. After all, she's been accused of using township resources for personal gain, including paying for luxury trips and even running a defunct charity that failed to account for its funds.
The vote is unanimous. The objector's petition has been withdrawn.
Can't do that. Can't contest everyone that come you.
Henyard's leadership style has also come under fire. She's been accused of being abrasive and authoritarian, with residents and trustees alike criticizing her for stifling dissent and making unilateral decisions. Sound familiar? Much like Ruelas, Henyard has faced protests and calls for her resignation from frustrated constituents. During public meetings, residents have voiced their anger over everything from unplowed streets to delayed services, blaming Henyard for the town's dysfunction. And just like Ruelas, Henyard has deflected the criticism, insisting that she's the victim of political attacks. Despite these growing protests, both mayors have maintained a vocal group of supporters who argue that their actions, though controversial, are necessary for progress. Henyard's backers often point to her ambitious plans for revitalizing Dolton, while Ruelas' defenders argue that she inherited many of Mabton's financial and infrastructure issues from previous administrations. This divide has created a tense political climate in both communities, with residents split between those demanding immediate accountability and those willing to give their embattled leaders another chance to deliver on their promises. The comparisons don't stop there. Both Ruelas and Henyard have faced legal challenges over their actions in office. In Ruelas' case, the recall petitions against her have been upheld by the courts, with Judge Bartheld allowing several charges to move forward. Similarly, Henyard has been embroiled in lawsuits over her eligibility to run for office and her handling of township finances. Both mayors have also been accused of putting their personal interests above the needs of their communities, whether it's Ruelas using the city website to promote her business or Henyard allegedly funneling township funds into her own projects.
We were in Thornton Township today, and that main building was locked. No one was answering the main phone lines, and some services that are offered there are for electric and heating for low-income homes.
But perhaps the most striking similarity between the two is their ability to survive scandal after scandal. Despite the public outcry, legal battles, and mounting evidence against them, both Ruelas and Henyard have managed to cling to power, at least for now. Their resilience has left many wondering, how do they keep getting away with it? Is it sheer determination, political savvy, or something else entirely? As the stories of Rachel Ruelas and Tiffany Henyard continue to unfold, one thing is clear: their controversies aren't going away anytime soon. For Ruelas, the recall process is still underway, and the fight with Olivares could lead to even more legal trouble. For Henyard, the upcoming elections in Dolton and Thornton Township will determine whether she can hold on to her dual roles as mayor and supervisor. Meanwhile, residents in both Mabton and Dolton are left to grapple with the fallout of their leaders' actions, demanding accountability and change. So, what do you think? Are Rachel Ruelas and Tiffany Henyard victims of political smear campaigns, or are they truly guilty of the allegations against them? And more importantly, what does their leadership say about the state of small-town politics today? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned for more updates on these unfolding dramas. Because of thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.